Welcome to Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now you can learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property. Learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau with the Mineola law firm of Shane, Dox, Denisi, and Corker. He's a member of the Committee on Professional Ethics of the Bar Association of Nassau County and counsel to the Nassau Academy of Law. And now, here is your host for Law You Should Know, attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we're going to be discussing alternative careers for lawyers, and this may work out for paralegals or other business people as well. And our guide for this journey is Alexandra Duran. She is a therapist, a human resources professional, as well as an attorney and general counsel, and a career coach and an independent director. Alexandra, welcome back to Law You Should Know.
Oh, thank you very much.
And thank you for your wealth of ideas for lawyers and others. First of all, is it that unusual for a lawyer to seek an alternative career?
You know, it's becoming more and more usual for attorneys to think about alternative careers. I think of what's going on in our society and also at law firms and the billing and the technology has made it too stressful, and people are seeking to have balance in their lives.
And what type of alternative careers, how can someone go through the process of trying to pick out a possible alternative career?
Well, one has to actually do a tremendous deep dive assessment of who they are. There are certain things that you have to figure out about yourself. You know, you have to know what your values are and your interests, and there are personality traits, your individual traits, your motivational drive, your needs, your attitude, everything that you normally don't talk about with people at work. These are the things that you have to deep dive and figure out about yourself and be very clear about. Because I believe that practicing law and having gone to law school, it's a tremendous benefit to most people. It's got a lot of value. You have a unique perspective regarding the fabric of society, how systems interconnect. We understand the value of the details and also the long-term results of things. We are wordsmiths. We're trained in analysis, deductive thinking, evaluating facts, being decisive, and fiduciaries. And we also understand the value of keeping people's secrets. So we have learned a tremendous amount of information and knowledge that we've been practicing, and not every profession out there has gone to school to learn these things or to practice these things. So that when you decide to perhaps leave the profession, I call it jumping the fence. When you decide to do that, in order to help the prospective employers get over their cognitive dissonance, in other words, they may wish to hire you, they may like you, but they're afraid to hire you. They have conflicting feelings because they don't quite grasp how you would give up being a lawyer to do whatever it is that they have for you to do. They think to themselves, if I were a lawyer, I wouldn't want to give it up. But they haven't walked in your shoes. They don't know how difficult and demanding and complex it is and how stressful. So they don't quite understand it. And your job is to help them understand it. So when you do this deep dive, you're looking for those things about yourself that you can share with them that will help them understand why you would be a good bet, and that nobody is going to ever say to them, what the heck were you thinking when you hired him or her? What were you thinking? They're going to say, boy, that was a really good choice. That was a really good hire you made. And that's the point of really figuring out who you are, what you like to do. And when I say that, I don't mean the aspirational you. Like, I'd love to be a runway model. It is never going to happen. Or I'd like to be someone that goes to the moon. NASA's not coming to my house looking for me. This has to be based on who I actually am. and what I love to do, and what makes me want to get up out of bed in the morning and go to work and do the job. That's the person that you have to introduce to prospective employers. Because when they see the genuine you and they learn from you what your skill set is and how good you are at that skill set and how open and flexible your thinking is and what a good problem solver you are and that you can get into the weeds and also the long term. When they see all of that, your ability to influence people, whoever stays closest to the revenue of a company is the one that will succeed in that company. And most of our skills have taught us, our training has taught us how to be that person, to influence thinking, to bring people to closure, to be a wordsmith about how you share the information about something, when to be quiet and when to speak. We learn all those things. And that makes you a great employee for another employer.
And you mentioned problem solver, but many attorneys are also problem preventers, and that can be a valuable skill in another setting to understand and look for the big picture.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
And how can someone meet or find, their next possible employer or next career? Once they've done that assessment, how can they find a company or a person or organization that might be a suitable employer?
Well, what you're looking for is people that value who you actually are, right? And so what you want to do is you want to go to meetings that are that are sponsored, not necessarily other lawyers, as you would if you were rejoining the law. But if you're thinking of leaving the law, then what you want to do is go to business meetings, go meet with people that are entrepreneurs, go meet with people that are regulators in different kinds of industries. You want to go to anything that has a structure, because they can understand how you might be able to fit in. You could identify your skill set in a more realistic way for them, and they'll understand that.
And you also might be able to find those people who have had a legal education or worked in a legal career, and they might be able to give you some helpful information or act as your model.
Well, those are the people that are those are the places where former attorneys are more likely to be practicing. And so, yes, you make connections with them.
And you could look at your school alumni or look at people's bios to see if they have a similar backstory.
That's right. And I believe in taking a look at where you would like to end up. If I have a client now, she's terrific and she's young, and she said at an interview for a pharmaceutical company, they said, "Well, where do you see yourself in 20 years?" She said, "As the CEO of this company," and she means it, and she will be that person. Okay, so you want to look at where do you want to end up, and then you work your way backwards. Where do people go to school? What are their interests? What kinds of work did they do? What other jobs have they been in? And you want to see if there's any connection between you and them. And then you can reach out to them and say, I really appreciate that you have had 2 or 3 different careers, or that you have done this or done that, and I would love to speak with you if you have a few minutes to help me understand what might be the benefits of doing this or doing that. People are happy to talk about themselves.
And what else can you do to fill any gaps in your education or training so you're ready to work in a different field? Well,
many people go back to school, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get the whole, MBA, or that you have to get the whole photography degree. What you can do is go to all the schools that have continuing education and start taking courses in that which you are interested in. Start to teach yourself and get to know the people in the class, get to know the instructor in that class. You should start reading books about, how to do it. Get yourself a treatise on how it works.
And just like a young person might do, a high school or college person might do, you could ask to shadow someone or seek out an internship for older people.
That's right. And you should go back to your law school, because in your law school career center, they have books for younger people that explain what it's like to practice in a particular area. They have books about all different kinds of things, not just law.
And chances are your law school or college or other graduate school is going to have alumni who've made that switch.
That's exactly right. And you can ask them for that information, okay? And so it's very interesting to me to think about, you have to be the kind of person when you're making a transition that's willing to do all the heavy lifting. You have to do all of the research and assessment about yourself and be able to speak very openly, not in a deleterious way, but to speak straightforward and to the point about who you are and what you want to work at and what you like about it and what you don't like about it. And also, you need to find a way to have some practice in it, even if it's taking a class or becoming a subject matter expert in movies or whatever that is. You have to show great enthusiasm and a tremendous ability to dive in and teach yourself and work with other people that can teach you and volunteer and offer your hand.
And so when you're volunteering, you're showing them the benefit of your skill set and your experiences as a person and as a lawyer.
That's right, but you don't want to be the lawyer in that room. You want to be the neophyte there to learn the other experience.
Find out how you can help and then just do a good job.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And when people, when you think about going back to old contacts in this way, you want to make sure that you understand when someone says, oh, I know him, you want to make sure that person, what's the depth of their knowing him, you know? I know President Obama, but I cannot introduce you. So language is very important when you're involved in these relationship building exercises. So you want to make sure that the person that's offering to speak for you or to invite you in has a really good relationship with the people that they're offering to introduce you to.
And if you're going to a seminar or a course or a volunteer meeting, it's not awkward to ask someone who's sitting next to you what was their path.
That's exactly right. And please don't sit in the back row or stand up against the wall. You have to just forthrightly walk right into the center of that room and look for a group to join of two people, or if you can't, look for one person that looks like they're looking for somebody else to talk to.
And you just want to make one or two contacts for that evening.
That's right.
And the same thing applies, as you've mentioned in other contexts, to reach out to that panel, to contact them. I enjoyed this. I found this interesting. Coming from a legal background, how can I transition to that field?
That's exactly right.
And we're gonna take a short break now. When we come back, we're gonna perhaps you can give us some other examples of successful career transitions and give us your website with additional helpful information. You're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, and also over the internet at ncc.edu/WHPC. We'll be back in a moment.
This portion of programming on WHPC is brought to you on behalf of the Nassau County Bar Association, who wants you to know about ADR, Alternate Dispute Resolution, which can help you avoid costly, lengthy, and uncertain litigation in court. By resolving disputes through mediation or arbitration, it gives you control over who decides your case. A mediator helps all parties to reach an agreement they can live with, or an arbitrator selected by the parties hears and decides the case. Your attorney can still represent you, but you control who decides your case. ADR is faster and less stressful than fighting in court, and it is a great way to resolve divorce, employment, or commercial disputes. ADR is now offered through the Nassau County Bar Association. Find out more about how ADR can help resolve your dispute by calling 516-747-4070 or visit nassaubar.org.
Once again, we continue with Law You Should Know. From the Mineola Law Firm of Shane, Dox, Denise, Corker, and Sauer, here is attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome back to Law You Should Know. We're talking about alternative careers for lawyers, and it also applies to business people or others. And our special guest is Alexandra Duran, and she is a therapist, a human resources professional, an attorney, a general counsel, a career coach, and independent director. Alexandra, you've counseled many people and helped them make the transition from law to a different career. Can you give us some other examples of people you've helped and what they went into?
Yes, I'm happy to do that.